This honestly might have been the biggest bag fumble that I have seen in recent AI history. Anthropic just put the ban hammer down on anybody that is using Anthropic's subscription to power their OpenClaw. Rob Zalkos found this initially. Major Claude Code policy clear from Anthropic using OAuth tokens obtained through Claude Free Pro Max accounts in any other product, tool, or service, including the agent SDK, we'll come back to that, is not permitted. We kind of knew this was coming. We definitely knew it was against their terms of service to use your Anthropic subscription outside of their core products, meaning Claude Desktop, Claude Cowork, Claude Code, but we all wanted to use it in OpenClaw. And the craziest part, it doesn't mention OpenClaw once, but it definitely looks like they directed this at OpenClaw. Here's their specific policy language from their documentation. The OAuth authentication is intended exclusively for Claude Code and Claude AI. Using OAuth tokens obtained through Claude Free, Pro, or Max accounts in any other product, tool, or service, including the agent SDK, is not permitted and constitutes a violation of the consumer terms of service. And people got pissed, including myself. This is just such a bad look for them. Let me take a step back and explain how this all happened. First, what is OpenClaw? If you haven't been on X in the last 3 weeks, then the quick summary of OpenClaw is it is an incredibly personal and capable AI assistant that can be run locally and can be powered by any of the frontier models. Initially, OpenClaw was called Claudebot. CLAWD, not Claude as in Anthropic's Claude. Then, about 3 weeks ago, OpenClaw absolutely exploded in popularity. Then a few days after that, Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, was contacted by Anthropic and was told, you got to change the name. It is too close to our trademarked Claude, CLAUDE. And of course, he probably knew that was coming once it exploded in popularity, and so he had to change the name. There was a brief moment in time where it was called Moltbot, but eventually it was renamed to OpenClaw. And the OpenClaw moniker is very interesting. I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. And by the way, if you want to get ahead, my team created a free ebook all about OpenClaw use cases, specifically how to implement them, how to get them going, why they're valuable, and so much more. Go download the ebook. It's completely free. I'll drop a link in the description below. So why does the OAuth token actually matter? Why is everybody talking about this? Well, first, it was the default way to get OpenClaw set up. And there's a reason for that. Anthropic tokens are incredibly expensive if you go through the API, which is still allowed, and they give a significant discount on a per token basis to the subscription. So if you're using Claude Code or Claude Cowork or just the Claude interface directly, the price per token that you're paying is significantly less than if you go to the API directly. So of course, people wanted to use their subscription. And by the way, this is not some way to get freebie tokens. You are still paying Anthropic for your subscription. Previously, I was paying $20 a month. As soon as I started using OpenClaw, I upgraded to their max plan, which is $100 a month. Shortly after that, I wanted more tokens. And so I was paying $200 a month for their increased max plan. I mean, look at some of these prices. This is API model pricing. Here's Claude Opus 4.6, $25 per million output tokens. Claude Sonnet 4.6, a little less expensive, but still $15 per million output tokens, $5 per million input tokens, and $3 per million output tokens, respectively, for Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 4.6. Now, those numbers don't sound like a lot of money, but it adds up very quickly. I was burning through my quota through the subscription. And briefly after Anthropic shut off access through the OAuth system, I switched to the API, and I'm going to show you how very expensive it was. And so this is what the subscription panel looked like. You got a 5-hour rolling quota, and it would fill up, and then you would have to wait, or you could buy extra usage down here. Then you also had your weekly limit. And for the $200 a month plan, I was able to use a good amount of my Claude subscription without really worrying. Okay, now let me show you how expensive the API directly is going to be for OpenClaw usage. So here's Claude Opus 4.6. And as you can see, Each request, just basically saying hello to your OpenClaw bot, uses about 50,000 tokens for me, which is crazy. And that's just a simple hello. Imagine if you're actually doing any kind of coding or modification or analysis, content ingestion. None of that matters. It is all 50,000 tokens as a minimum baseline. So with some quick calculation, we can see 50,000 token input. That is, again, the bare minimum with zero output is 25 cents. Every time I say hello to Opus 4.6, it is 25 cents. And it's not that much cheaper for Sonnet 4.6. This is not sustainable in the least. So of course, I switched it. And keep in mind, it is significantly higher for context above 200K. And that can happen all the time. If it reads the code base, it happens. If it's loading a bunch of content into the context, that happens. So it's just so expensive. Okay, so now back to this original tweet, and there was a lot of confusion, specifically because of this line right here, including the Agent SDK. The Agent SDK is an endpoint that allows you to build agentic loops using Anthropic. And a lot of people thought, hey, that's kind of weird. I'm using your own product. Why are you preventing me from using my Anthropic subscription with it? Then Tariq from Anthropic clarified, kind of still a little bit confusing. Apologies, this was a docs cleanup we rolled out that's actually caused some confusion. Nothing is changing about how you can use the Agent SDK and max subscriptions. So there you go. You can still use it with the Agent SDK. But even more clarification, we want to encourage local development and experimentation with the Agent SDK and Claude-P. If you're building a business on top of the Agent SDK, you should use an API key instead. We'll make sure that's cleaner in our docs. And this really angered a lot of people, as I mentioned. This is a tinkerers community. It is a builders community. A bunch of people started paying Anthropic and then paying Anthropic more because they were using OpenClaw. It's a fun side project. This is not a business. This is a personal project, at least for me. And if it's not a personal project, I would understand that. Now I get it. If you go through the Anthropic subscription, you're paying about 90% less than if you were going to the API directly. So Anthropic is like, we're losing money. We only want that to be available in our own products. But it still hurt and it left a sour taste in my mouth. So of course, I switched off of Anthropic. All right, so let's look at the timeline of events now, because this is really a telling story and why it put even more of a sour taste in the community's mouth. So first, ClaudeBot goes viral. And then a few days after that, Anthropic forces Peter to change the name from ClaudeBot, then Moltbot, then OpenClaw, finally OpenClaw. Then Peter flew to San Francisco, met with the leading AI labs, including OpenAI, and then about a week and a half later, OpenAI acquires Peter. Then yesterday, just a few days after that, Anthropic blocks OpenClaw OAuth usage. And then just that same day, OpenAI says, go for it. Use our OAuth through Codex. In fact, it was Peter who said that they allow it. So Andrew Warner says, breaking, Claude OAuth officially not allowed. We knew that. Then this would be a great time for Sam Altman to step in and let us use OpenAI subscription with OpenClaw. And Peter replies, that already works. OpenAI publicly said that. Incredible. This is really one of the greatest bag fumbles and bag pickups of all time. Okay, so all that aside, what am I actually doing with OpenClaw? Which models am I using? Before, I had a very simple setup. I was using Opus 4.6 for almost everything. I would offload some of the coding to my Cursor CLI agent, but mostly I was using Opus 4.6 because it just has the best personality. So now my entire system is much more complex. I don't love it, but I just didn't want to continue throwing so much money at Anthropic, and it was just so expensive to use the API. So here is what I do now. Yes, I am using my ChatGPT subscription, which they allow, for OpenClaw. Now, for coding, my security council, my platform council, my business meta-analysis, my innovation council, those all go to GPT 5.3 Codex X High Fast. And that is offloaded to my Cursor agent CLI. The CRM standard goes to GPT 5.2. A bunch of things that should just be really fast and easy, like notification classifiers, re-rankers, those all go to GPT 5 Mini, and the knowledge base summarizer, prompt sync review, and the default overall model goes to GPT 5.2. So yes, I am primarily using ChatGPT now. I have Sonnet 4.6 and Opus 4.6 Thinking as backups. I'm also using Gemini. Gemini 3.1 just dropped, so I'm definitely going to be testing that. But I just didn't love what happened here. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.